Greetings. I'm your host, Glen Alex, and this is the Glen Alex Show, the 2023 Positive Change Podcast Award winner in health and wellness and finalist in psychology. And each episode of the Glen Alex Show focuses on a different aspect of health because I believe in total health, and I believe you can't achieve true health without total health. And that involves your individuality as well. And I am on a mission to help you be joyful, connected, confident, and complete the life experience I call WELLTH, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. Let that sink in for a moment, because people living in total health or even moving towards living in total health are balanced physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And balanced people do not intentionally harm self or others. So please join us on this path so we can make the world a better place for everyone. And stay tuned for this very insightful episode on herbal remedies and natural healing.
Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex Show.
Please help me welcome my guest, Jane Barlow Christensen, and I'll tell you a little bit about her. Jane is a master herbalist known for her work with herbal remedies and natural healing. She is owner of Barlow Herbal Specialties, a company that focuses on offering healing herbal products. Jane has a passion for teaching people about the benefits of medicinal herbs and how they can be integrated into daily life for health and wellness. Her knowledge and expertise come from both her personal experiences and her family legacy in the world of herbal medicine. She is the author of Be Your Own Shaman, a book dedicated to teaching people how to easily utilize plant medicine in our everyday lives. Jane believes that each of us is responsible for ourselves and the love, joy, spiritual and physical health that we experience. I'm excited, and I am going to learn something from Jane. So please, Jane, welcome to the Glen Alex Show.
Thank you, Glenn. It's so awesome to be here sharing stuff that we both believe in very deeply.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate you making time for this. And your bio mentioned a little bit about your background. Just give us a little more insight into how you became a master herbalist.
Yeah, I mean, my story is a little different than most. I'm not classically or traditionally educated in herbal medicine. So my dad was a medicinal botanist. What made him just geek out was what makes plants work for human beings to be well. And he just loved everything about plants, the way where they grew, what parts of the plant you use, what time of the day do you pick them and use them and make them into a tincture. And I grew up in a big family of 14 kids, something we realized we had in common, the fact that we're from a big family. So it was really common to have like pots of things growing, not just in the kitchen and all around the house, but we had a huge garden outside, a huge herbal garden as well, which was really, I think, I was the only kid I knew. I was totally embarrassed of everything that my mom and dad did as far as when I was young, because it was so hippie. And of course, as an adult, you realize, oh my gosh, my parents gave us the biggest gift. But my dad just raised us, learning about herbal medicine. We'd be driving somewhere and he'd see something that he would want to identify. So we'd pull over, we'd all pile out, and he would say, okay, this plant, you use the leaves, sometimes you can use the roots, and you can do this with it and that with it. And here's the Latin names and the botanical names. And So I'm not trained as far as I've gone to school and
Okay.
I've gone through all, I'm very much not just legacy taught by my dad, but I'm very much self-taught. I'm a voracious reader about everything natural, herbal. You know, when you find something that you love,
Hmm.
you can't get enough of it. So I just was blessed to be born to this dad who was a brilliant botanist, and he taught us along the way growing up. And he passed away actually 26 years ago, and
Okay.
I carry on his work. And the Be Your Own Shaman book is an update of his book. He wrote a book when I was in high school, so 45 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. Thank you for that. Thank you for
Hey.
that. I did start reading Be Your Own Shaman and made a list of some herbs that could help with my GI issues. And
Ah.
it is a very substantial book, so I recommend other people get it and see how they can help themselves. So tell us though, how specifically do herbs work? I mean, we hear the value of fruits and vegetables as far as the fiber and the different vitamins in them. What is it about herbs that make them work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a pretty broad question, because if you think about that saying that all of us have heard, let food be thy medicine.
Hmm.
You know, we've moved so far away from just eating a whole food diet that, um, if we just eat a plant-based, at least a lot of plants and stuff in our diet, it can change our health completely. But as far as the way that it works, if you think about a plant like, say, one of my favorites is a plant called feverfew. And it's a beautiful plant that's in the daisy family. It's got these little white flowers with yellow centers. And it's a beautiful plant for your flower garden, but it's also a beautiful plant to have in your herb garden.
Okay.
But what's cool is that this plant, the leaves contain a compound that's called parthenolide. And parthenolide does things like goes after inflammation, goes after pain. It can stimulate adult stem cells. It's been heavily studied for cancer research. So you can actually take, now, not all herbs have that particular property,
Okay.
but feverfew does. You can take the leaves and you can steep some of, you take 4 or 5 leaves off your plant, steep them in a cup of tea, and for tea, and then drink a cup of feverfew tea every single day. It's
Okay.
also good for migraines. The parthenolide goes after fevers. That's how it got its name, and
Okay.
headaches. So plants, especially on a medicinal level, they have properties that are very, very concentrated. And I think that that's what makes them different from, well, I don't know, almost like a banana has a ton of potassium. So
Okay.
they just have these different properties that make them medicinal. And the thing is to consume things like these because they taste good. Like you
Hmm.
consume a banana because it tastes good, but all the benefits that you get are mind-blowing. In fact, another quick example, think about a carrot. A carrot has like over 200 beta carotenes. And the reason you want to eat a carrot instead of take a beta carotene supplement is because a beta carotene supplement will isolate out a couple of the beta carotenes, put them in the supplement, and you're like, here's your beta carotene. But if you eat the carrot, not only are you getting all the fiber and all of the roughage and all of that, but you're getting all of the beta carotenes. So
Okay.
the plants are different. The medicinal properties are different.
Okay. 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 So it's just more concentrated in the herbal plants.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So what is the difference, or do you see a difference in the efficacy and applicability of herbs versus essential oils?
Well, they're very, very different. Like you would
Okay.
use essential oils. I mean, I love essential oils. I don't sell any essential oils, but I think they belong in everybody's home for
Okay.
the different reasons and different things. So you can take, like, say, lavender. You can make an essential oil out of lavender, but you can also take the plant lavender, use some of the flowers, sprinkle them on your salad to make it look pretty, but then you also get the benefits of it as well. You can
Okay.
make lavender tea.
Okay.
But an essential oil is, you use them a little bit differently. Like some you can use neat, which means you can take something like Lavender is one of those, frankincense, and you can put them directly on your skin.
Hmm.
But there are some essential oils that need to have a carrier oil in
Right.
them. So that because they're so potent and so powerful that it's not good to put them directly on your skin. So I don't know, herbs and plants, if you use them for tinctures or poultices or teas, are very different than essential oils. But you can
Both
use
have benefits.
100%.
Okay, okay, excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
Now, in your work, do you work with people um, for specific issues, or how do you work? Exactly does your company do? I guess I should
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, that's a great question. So I personally I don't do consultations.
Okay,
Um, when I first restarted my dad's company after he passed away, it was 4 years after he passed away. And he used to sell mostly to practitioners. So
okay,
he would sell to naturopaths, acupuncturists, chiropractors, functional medicine doctors, osteopaths. And after he passed away and I restarted his company, that was the group of people that I reached out to first and said, hey, I'm bringing my dad's formulas back.
okay,
And then what's happened over these last 22 years is a couple really interesting things. First of all, I've really moved into the space where I go directly to consumer, but people need education. You can't just like our line of stuff. Some of them are simple, like we do a turmeric, we do something with cayenne pepper. Some of these are very simple,
okay,
but a lot of the things that we do go after things like candida and parasites, and maybe learning how to do detoxification or blood cleansing, or even certain herbs and blends that go support your body for cancer.
okay,
So there is an education curve. We put out a lot of information. We have a booklet when you first order, and our goal is to educate you and then let people dive deeper and educate themselves.
okay,
But I do spend a lot of time still with a lot of practitioners, educating them on the herbal remedies so that they can add them into their practice.
okay. Though you do have formulas available for the general public.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And they're
Okay,
very easy to use, as far as we do provide some really good education, because to me, it's not about here, just get this
right,
and take it. It's like, well, let's find out first what you need,
right.
and then let's educate you about it. And
Okay,
then after you educate yourself about it, then kind of go, well, do I still need this, or do I need something different? So
okay.
there is a curve. I don't think you can just jump on in and just have like a whole cupboard full of remedies.
Oh,
Start with
I don't recommend that for anyone.
no.
Absolutely do
Yeah.
some research first and personalize
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
Okay. Now you listed different types of practitioners that
Yeah.
buy your formulas.
Yeah.
Have you noticed more acceptance in mainstream medicine of herbs?
Yeah, that is the most perfect question ever, because here's the thing yeah, this has been actually one of the funnest things about what I do. So about 15 or 16 years ago, so I've been going for a little while, just bringing my dad's stuff back. And I started getting phone calls from medical doctors. Now, so this was a while ago.
Okay.
And so they would find me through a practitioner friend of theirs, someone that was a functional medicine doctor, or, a natural, because a lot of medical doctors will go to the chiropractor, or they'll go do acupuncture.
Hmm.
I'm finding that there is some acceptance with people, with medical doctors who go do these things to help themselves and their
Okay.
families do well.
Okay.
But what I discovered is that a lot of these doctors did not want to give their own treatments to their family members. Like the most fascinating one for me was cancer doctors. And they would have a family member that would get diagnosed with something, and they'd be like, I really, I know this is really harsh, and I don't want to put my wife through this.
Okay.
And then they would go through and sometimes they would find me. And then what happened is then a few of these doctors started recommending my stuff to their patients. They would just say, hey, especially if they had a patient who was motivated. Like, say you go into your doctor, you get diagnosed with something kind of hardcore, and you go, what can I do? I'll do anything. So you've got this doctor who took a Hippocratic oath to first do no harm.
Hmm.
And you've got a motivated patient who's like, I don't really want to do these treatments. I'll do anything. So they're willing to change their diet, their lifestyle, their stress, their sleep. They're willing to take these toxic things out of their life. And they want it, so they would send them my way. And
Okay.
this has been going on for a long time. And it's been a really beautiful thing to watch, because I do believe, yes, that more mainstream medical people are realizing that they want to help their patients on a different level.
Okay. That's really interesting that doctors won't prescribe for their family members what they would for a patient. So
Yeah,
maybe a question I will suggest my clients ask when they go to the doctor is, would you prescribe this for your wife or your daughter or
yeah,
someone in your family member, and see the reaction?
that is
Because
a
there's
great.
something wrong with it if they don't want their own family member to take it, yet they prescribe it.
Yeah, and I had the same experience about 20 years ago with a dentist where he wanted to do a root canal. And I was like, I didn't want a root canal, and I knew how bad they were. And he was being very insistent. And so I said to him, if I were your wife, would you still want me to get a root canal on that tooth? And it stopped him in his tracks. And what he told me was no. And so he did something different, because it hadn't gotten to the nerve. So he did a different procedure on that tooth that was not a
Okay.
root canal. So
Okay.
that's the perfect question.
Okay. Well, good for him for being honest with you.
Well, I don't think he's ever had anybody ask him that. But
Uh,
yes, I agree. Good
Yes,
for.
he could have played it off and pretended, he knew
Yeah,
better or whatever. But no, that's a great story.
yeah.
Now, in speaking of your formulas and herbal remedies and natural healing, what is your position on opting out of mainstream medicine?
I think, well, this might sound kind of crazy, but I think any person living in the world we live in right now that has a working, functioning brain needs to do everything they can to opt out. And I don't mean that in a harsh way.
Okay.
The world is changing quickly, and our systems are really requiring of us to take responsibility on every level. And if you are able to opt out of something that doesn't really serve you. Now, I'm not talking about opting out of things like trauma care.
Okay.
And if you need a surgery, like 2 years ago, I had a full knee replacement because I had a bad water ski accident, and I had to have a big surgery. I had to have a knee surgery,
Okay.
full replacement. So when I say opt out, I'm talking about opting out of the sick care part of it. And that can be really, really intimidating for people, because I think what happens is we're so programmed to get this test and get that test
Take
and
this pill.
take this drug. Yes, take this pill,
Yes.
and you get this side effect, and then you trust the person that's your doctor. These are good people. I mean, I have a sister who's a nurse. She's been a labor and delivery nurse for 30 years. And these people that are in our health field are kind, generous, compassionate people. And this is where it makes it a little bit difficult, because if they say you need to get on this blood thinner, you need to get on high blood pressure medication, and instead you should say, well, what's causing me to have high blood pressure? And can I lose 10 pounds and
Yes.
start walking every
Yes.
day? So this is where we take responsibility
Yes. Address
and
the root
opt out.
cause instead of
Yes,
mask the symptom.
100%. That's where
Yes.
it all is. Yep.
Okay. So is it fair to say then that the herbs will address the root cause internally?
From my experience, 100%.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really intimidating for people, because we're not raised with it anymore. I'm kind of one of that really tiny percentage of people who were actually raised with herbal medicine on this level. But I think what happens is we don't trust it. So think about this. And I've had this happen a lot of times. I've had someone that will get a hold of us and be like, I've got really bad inflammation. My doctor wants me to go on this medication for inflammation. And so I'll say, well, you know what? Let's start with something really simple, which is turmeric. Turmeric is very easy. It goes after inflammation and pain. And I've had this happen multiple times. The person will be like, well, I'm not sure about turmeric, and I've never used it like that, and I need to do some research. And so I think, and I think researching is great. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that, but what happens is you take a food like turmeric and people become a researcher. But when your doctor says, here, take this drug, they don't, most of the time they don't
They
even
don't
question
question
it.
it. Yes.
So the difference has to be not only, I think researching is great. If there's a natural thing that someone's suggesting that's even an herb or plant or whatever, yes, you must research because you need that knowledge to make the best decisions, even when it comes to herbal medicine. But then you can start to build the confidence. Like, so say you use turmeric, it goes after your inflammation, but you also take out fried foods and you take out alcohol and
Yes.
you take out all these things that cause inflammation as well. It's not just take the herb and your inflammation's gone. No, there's other things
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
And that's so, yeah.
So you're talking about the whole person, not just the medical part of that person.
Oh,
Yes.
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
you can't cover up, just like you can't cover up something with a drug, you really can't cover up a problem with an herb as well. It'll be a lot more safe and it will still be effective, but you still have to go to the underlying cause of it all.
Yes. Yes. Well, speaking of turmeric, and this is for my own edification, what is the difference between turmeric and curcumin? I know that curcumin is a part of the turmeric plant,
Yeah.
but what is the difference in effect?
Well, personally, I'm a person who likes the whole of it. So if
Okay.
you take curcumin, which is a compound, just like the beta carotenes in a carrot,
Okay.
if you take and isolate out the curcumin out, you can get a very powerful, good supplement. But me personally, especially from my research, I prefer to have the whole. So fresh, dried turmeric root ground up, if you're going to put it into a tea. Um, Golden milk is one of my favorite drinks. It's got, you can even use fresh turmeric root. But the thing is, there's other compounds in the turmeric root besides the curcumin.
Okay.
And there is something that I love about just the beauty of how cooking and the different herbs go together. Turmeric and curcumin especially is a very difficult compound for your body to digest and process. So when you add a tiny bit of black pepper, which contains a compound called piperine, to your turmeric, it becomes more bioavailable
Hmm.
and it releases an enzyme in your liver that helps. And it sounds like you're smiling, you're nodding, you know this already. So there's these little nuances. Like think about people in Indian cuisine that cook with curcumin or with turmeric. They always will add black pepper
Yes.
to the dish because then now it makes that all the compounds bioavailable and utilized by the body. So
Yes, I learned that a few years ago. I'm a constant researcher about things that will help my overall health.
yeah.
So I learned that about the black pepper, and so now when I cook with turmeric, I always add black pepper to the turmeric. My question was related to I had a guest on the Glen Alex Show, last year or the year before, and she talked about oxalates
Hmm.
and that turmeric, the whole turmeric is high in oxalates, yet the curcumin is not.
Yeah.
So
I've heard
that's what
that.
that question was about.
Yeah, I've heard that too. And I think oxalates, especially if you have inflammation problems, can, I mean, well, to me, if you're an overall healthy person, if
Hmm.
you exercise and you eat clean and all of that stuff, the oxalates that are naturally occurring are not going to hurt you.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, it's a perfect in its whole form. It's like, to me, God created plants and they're perfect. And I think it's just really, it's easy and it's also okay to isolate curcumin out. And especially if someone does have a serious oxalate sensitivity.
Okay.
For a
Okay.
normal healthy person in a whole food situation, I think it's not a problem.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, can I just throw out some conditions and you'll the top two herbs that could be helpful for those conditions,
Sure.
if as long as people make the lifestyle changes to go along with it.
Yeah, I mean that's yes, of course, that's a given.
Okay. Okay. Well, some people don't consider that as a given. They're looking for a
You're
quick
right. You're
fix.
right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
disclaimer, you have to do the other stuff too.
Yeah.
All right. Diabetes.
Diabetes, things like rose hips are really good for diabetes. Things like um, hawthorn,
Okay.
hawthorn tea is really good. Nettle
Okay.
tea, really
o-
good for diabetes.
Okay. Hypertension.
Hawthorn is also good for hypertension, high blood
Okay.
pressure. I love anything that's good for digestion. Turmeric actually is really good for high blood pressure and hypertension, as well as feverfew.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
How about small intestine bacterial overgrowth? And that is completely personal.
Okay, so there's two big things I would do. You need to get some type of powerful antimicrobial going on in there, something
Got
that's not
that.
going to mess up with any of your good gut flora.
Okay.
Some of my favorites are, have you ever heard of cryptolepis?
No.
So cryptolepis is, you use the root, and it's a plant that only grows in one part of the world, which is in Africa.
Okay.
And it's wildcrafted, and it's got powerful antimicrobial properties, but also things like olive leaf is also good, lemon balm, elderberry.
Okay.
You can get some of these in a really nice tincture form, and then they go right to the bloodstream, right into the gut. And so you want something that's antimicrobial. And then you
Okay.
want something for the inflammation. Now, one of my favorite one for something for your gut is cat's claw.
Okay.
And this does this. So cat's claw is the inner bark of the cat's claw tree is what's used, and it's known as the opener of the way, which
Mhm.
means for your intestinal tract, it balances intestinal flora, and it also goes after inflammation that is, because that's can be a real problem.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I would definitely get cat's claw, and I would definitely look for a good antimicrobial, something that broad
Okay.
spectrum, bacteria, fungus, and virus.
Okay. And would it be different than for Crohn's?
No, I would do that exact same thing for Crohn's. And then of course you've got it, the diet. I would do some fasting for intestinal issues. You might need to do some guided fasting if you're going to do some extended water fasting. But
Okay.
that's one of the fastest ways that you can let your body heal is when you take extended breaks from
Okay.
food. But again, most people can be very nervous about fasting, and rightly so, because it can be dangerous for people who have blood sugar problems and all kinds of issues.
Right.
But if you do some guided fasting with someone who knows what they're doing, your body can heal really quickly. Like a 7-day
Okay.
water fast can
Okay.
completely change your health.
Okay. Okay. How about joint or chronic pain?
Well, that can be two things. So a lot of it does depend on what you're eating.
Hmm.
Joint pain can be, very much food. The cat's claw, turmeric, both are
Okay.
good for inflammation
Okay.
and pain. Feverfew is good for joint pain. White willow bark, because of course aspirin comes from that.
Okay.
And then there's one, I'm just going to tuck this in here real quick because I think it's so important. Most chronic pain, like back pain, shoulder pain, it can even go as far as joint pain. There, behind almost every person who suffers from that, there is an emotional aspect to that. Something that's called TMS, or the mind-body syndrome.
Hmm.
Our body creates physical pain, and it is real, and there can be inflammation, and it's, again, you're nodding because I know you know that this is something you probably study. There's a beautiful book called The Great Pain Deception, and the author is a very dear friend of mine because it's just a big long story. But when the body has physical pain, it's protecting you from emotional pain.
Hmm.
And if you have emotional pain that is too much for you to bear, okay, now your back goes out, or your arthritis flares
Yes.
up,
Yes.
so to me, that's the missing puzzle piece, because it's like if you can go after the emotional pain of, because then you've got, I've had pain go away because I know what's happening.
Hmm.
Like, oh, my foot, I feel like I can't walk, something's going on. And I'll be like, no, my
Yeah.
husband's bugging the crap out of me right now. And I'm too nice of a wife to say, so part of it is just we're perfectionists, or we don't want to be a nagger, or it's,
Right.
So yeah.
Right. I totally agree with that because I work with adults who experience anxiety and depression, and many of them do have physical symptoms related
Oh
to their
yeah.
emotional issues. So, um, I think Jane just said, schedule your consultation with me.
You know what I say? Yes, if that's what you do, I'm telling you, this is the puzzle piece.
Yes.
That is the because I've talked to people over these years that will be like, well, I have this pain here and I have this pain, I have this inflammation,
Hmm.
and they describe what they're having, and I'm like, and this is just usually with friends because, like I said, I'm not a consultation person, even though I will get on the phone with people and kind of guide them a little. But I'll say, you know what? You don't need any herbs.
Yeah.
What is going on in your life?
Right.
Some people are like, well, I'm going through divorce. My mother just died, or whatever. So there's something happening
Hmm.
on an emotional trauma basis, and it could be something that you think is not a big deal, like your husband is bugging you. It really could be something like
It could
that.
be that simple. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for saying that. Now, for me and other people similar to me who don't have a green thumb,
Hmm.
how easy is it to grow your own herbs?
So easy. A couple years ago, I did plant a beautiful feverfew plant in my yard because it grows all up. I live in Salt Lake City, and there's mountains I go hiking in all the time, and it grows wild up there.
Okay.
But I don't pick anything from the mountains. So basically, and I don't want to go up in the mountains to go get some feverfew to put in my
That's a
tea.
lot of work.
It's a lot of work. So basically, I planted a feverfew plant, and you could plant it in your yard or in a pot if that's something that you'd like to, like say you suffer from migraines. Go to your nursery, buy a feverfew plant, put it in a pot if you live in an apartment, put it on the balcony or put it next to a window, and it's perennial.
Mm,
It grows a lot, and it's very easy to harvest, and then it just keeps growing more.
okay.
So I think the goal really for people, if they're overwhelmed by it, is to start with one thing.
Okay.
Just add one thing. And if you say you don't have a green thumb, you're not interested in growing things, you don't want to put things in a pot on your balcony, you don't want to do any of that. Herbs are very easy to get. There's
Okay.
bulk sources where, for a long time, I used to take turmeric, grind up my pepper, and I would put it in a bowl. I would buy it by the pound, organic powdered turmeric. And then I would buy veggie caps, empty veggie caps, and I would sit and I would hand encapsulate a bowl
Mm,
full of my own turmeric.
okay.
And you can do that as well. Now, some people don't even want to do that. So there are many sources and
Okay.
beautiful places that you can get the herbs that you want to put into your life.
Okay. Awesome. That's very helpful. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Jane, this is this has been a fascinating conversation, and I have learned some things. I will need to go back and replay it and take some notes so I can have the names of the herbs you suggested handy. So thank you so much for sharing this information. If you could narrow herbal medicine, herbal remedies, herbal supplements down to one nugget, what is the one takeaway you want the audience to have?
Oh, because there's so much,
There's
right?
so much.
Well, I would say that we are designed so perfectly, and we've complicated the human system.
Mm,
And health is simple. Health is simple. When you give your body the right tools, it knows how to be well. It's that easy.
wow. That is a very powerful statement.
Yeah.
Can you
I've seen
repeat
it over
that?
and over. Yeah, when we are designed for perfect wellness. We are designed in the image of God. We are a piece of God. I believe that
Okay.
to the depths of my soul.
Okay.
When we give our body the right tools, it knows how to be vibrantly healthy and well. It is extremely simple.
Okay. I love that. I love that a lot. Thank you so much. Now, how can, if anyone has any questions or are interested in your products, how can they find you?
So our website is barlowherbal.com, and
Okay.
you can actually we have a free downloadable catalog. It's 70 pages, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
education. It's
Okay.
full on education, and you can download it free, And usually when someone places their first order, we send them a hard copy of it in with their first order.
Okay.
So that's probably the best way. It's a totally free. You can even send us an email and say, hey, I'd love a copy of your catalog.
Oh,
And
awesome.
we'll put it in the mail and
Okay.
look through it and educate. There's a bunch of questions, frequently asked questions about herbal medicine. And, because the goal is let's educate you and then
Okay.
let people take the responsibility and make their own decisions, because you don't need everything.
Right.
Every person we all need specific things for what we're dealing with
Yes.
and looking for. And so we're easy to find. I have a little YouTube channel that I jump on and teach people little tips and
Okay.
things. So, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Now, where can people buy a copy of Be Your Own Shaman?
It's on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. Just jump on there, and it's coming out on the 28th of May. So I don't know when this is being released, but
Oh,
it might.
somewhere around there.
So it's being released the 28th of May. We're right
Okay.
in the middle of May right now. So
Yes, we are. Awesome. Okay,
yeah.
that's good to know. I thought it was already out, so this is perfect timing.
Yeah, well, what happened, and I'll tell you really quickly, is I self-published it last year. So the one I sent you is my self-published copy.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then I got picked up by a publisher, which is a little unheard of when you've already self-published a book.
Yes. Okay.
So then what I did is I added an extra chapter on psychedelics and sacred plants that's in this new one that's coming out on the 28th.
Okay. Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Jane, thank you so much for making time to be here. I really, really appreciate the information and the insights you shared. And I'm going to look more into herbal medicine for myself. So thank you again.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure to know you. Every time you'd ask me a question and I saw you nodding and smiling, I'm like, okay, this girl, we are on the same page.
You're preaching to the choir.
I can totally tell. I'm like, oh, she knows exactly what I'm gonna say.
Awesome. Well, thank you so
Awesome.
much. You be
Well,
well.
thank you. Okay, thank you. You too.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Glen Alex Show. We really hope you learned how herbal remedies can enhance your overall health and your quality of life. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Clinical psychologist and author Ann Wilson Schaaf said, "We have finally started to notice that there is real curative value in local herbs and remedies. And according to Johns Hopkins Medicine, humans have used herbs to treat diseases and to maintain health for thousands of years. Herbs are plant-based products that come in different forms and have been used medicinally. Please note that the FDA does not regulate herbal supplements or remedies, and therefore the product labels are not allowed to claim to treat certain diseases or conditions. Even so, I do believe that herbal and natural remedies work, and I am learning more about them almost daily to enhance my own health and to help that of my clients. So what I recommend for you, as does Johns Hopkins Medicine, is number one, do your own research. Check out the product and the company. You want to know what the quality is of the product, and you want to know about the integrity of the company. And I recommend doing your own research pretty much for every area of health, because there is no one size fits all approach that applies to every single person. And while your individually does matter in your health, number two, I recommend that you follow the instructions or consult an herbal professional. Altering the instructions right off the bat without knowing how it will affect you could do more harm than good. So follow the instructions or consult a professional to individualize the herbal remedy for you. And please, please, number three, listen to your body. Your body is wise and communicates with you regularly about what works for it and what doesn't. So if you experience nausea, dizziness, rash, headaches, watery eyes, sneezing, or any other negative symptoms after consuming herbs, then please stop taking them and consult a professional. So do your own research, follow the instructions, or consult a professional, and listen to your body. And herbal medicine could absolutely work for you too. To learn more about personalizing your path to health, please visit glenalex.com, read my blogs, order your copy of my award-winning book, Living in Total Health, and book your complimentary consultation with me to start your path to living in total health. Then, tune in to the next episode of the Glen Alex Show. And until next time, be well.